All right, we've covered a ton of ground in this course on how to analyze a business. So it's time to bring it all together. Think of this as a quick-fire recap of the entire framework, really designed to lock in the core concepts so you can analyze any company out there with confidence. Let's get right into it. Everything we're about to cover really comes back to this one huge question. So many companies can look amazing when the economy is booming, right? But how do we find the ones that have that real, durable quality, the ones that can actually stand the test of time? Well, that's exactly what this framework is built to help you figure out. So, here's our roadmap for this recap. We're going to start with the philosophical bedrock, those 4 pillars. Then we'll shift gears into a really practical screening toolkit with 5 key questions. After that, we'll see how it all works in the real world, and finally, we'll tie it all together into one complete, powerful framework. First up, the 4 pillars. I want you to think of these as the absolute foundation. Seriously, if you don't get these right, anything else you try to build on top of them is just going to be unstable. These are the absolute non-negotiables. And here they are: the circle of competence, the moat, management, and the margin of safety. Each one of these is a critical checkpoint. You have to clear every single one before you even think about looking at the numbers. First, your circle of competence. This is all about being brutally honest with yourself. It just means you only play in the games you actually know how to win. Don't worry about what's hot or what some expert on TV is yelling about. If you can't explain exactly how a company makes its money in a simple way, you're outside the circle. And that is a very dangerous place to be. Next up is the moat. It's a great metaphor, right? Just like a moat protects a castle from invaders, a business moat protects a company from its competition. This could be a brand that people absolutely love and trust, or a huge cost advantage, or even network effects that make it almost impossible for customers to switch. A wide, deep moat is what protects a company's profits for the long haul. Pillar number 3 is management. Listen, you can have a fantastic business with a massive moat, but bad leadership can just sink the entire ship. We are looking for leaders who are rational, who are honest, and who are absolutely brilliant at deciding where to put the company's money to get the best possible return. Great management is like a force multiplier on the business's value. And finally, the margin of safety. Okay, this is what separates a great company from a great investment. They are not the same thing. Even the best business on the planet is a bad deal if you overpay for it. So this just means buying at a big discount to what you think it's really worth. It gives you a cushion, a buffer against being wrong, against bad luck, against anything the future decides to throw at you. Okay, so we've got our philosophical foundation locked in. Now, let's get practical. These are the 5 questions you can use as a toolkit to quickly filter out the junk and find those truly high-quality companies. The very first question to ask yourself is this: is this business simple and predictable? And why is that so important? Because complexity hides risk. If you can't easily wrap your head around how a company makes money, it's way, way harder to see what might go wrong down the road. Here's the 30-second test. Can you explain what the business does, who its customers are, and how it makes money in under 30 seconds? If the answer's no, it's probably too complicated. We're on the hunt for businesses with clear models, really stable demand, and ideally, revenue that comes in again and again. Trust me, predictability is your best friend here. Question 2, does it have a dominant position? Now, dominance isn't just about being the biggest player. It's really about being the strong guest in your specific market, the one with the best profits, the most loyal customers, and the most pricing power. So what does dominance actually look like? Well, you can see it in the numbers, right? Things like the highest profit margins in the industry or the best customer retention rates. But it's also about things you can't always quantify, like brand power. A dominant company is the one that's just the default choice for people in that category. Next up, we're going to combine 2 questions into one big stress test. A moat is pretty useless if it just evaporates the second the economy gets a little rocky. So we have to ask, does this moat actually hold up under pressure? And can the business fundamentally survive a serious recession? So this is how you test for that resilience. You have to look at its history. Did its revenue fall off a cliff in the last recession? You got to check the balance sheet. Is it sitting on a mountain of cash, or is it drowning in debt? A company that can't survive a downturn is basically a ticking time bomb. All right, theory is great, but let's see how this all works with some actual real-world examples. We are going to put question number 2, market dominance, to the test using real data. First, let's just clarify what we mean by market share. Let's use this sample table from the fitness apparel world. So you can see Nike has the biggest overall piece of the pie, but Lululemon, it has a very dominant position in the premium, high-margin part of that market. So remember, dominance is all about strength in a specific niche. Okay, so now let's take that same logic and apply it to the real world in the incredibly competitive fast casual restaurant space. Wow, okay, this chart tells such a powerful story. I mean, yeah, McDonald's is in a league of its own, obviously. But just look at Chipotle. At over $11 billion in US sales, it's nearly 10 times larger than its most direct competitor, Qdoba. That, my friends, is what a dominant position in a specific category looks like. And that brings us to the end of our recap, where we're going to combine those philosophical pillars and the practical questions into one single cohesive framework for analysis. And this is the goal. This is the whole point of the entire framework. We are looking for high-quality businesses that are simple, predictable, dominant, resilient, and durable. The key takeaway is to always start by analyzing the quality of the business first. The question of what price to pay, that only comes after you've confirmed you're looking at a truly great company. Which, of course, leaves us with the next big question. Once you've done all this work and you've identified a wonderful business, how in the world do you figure out what it's actually worth? What is a fair price to pay to make sure you have that all-important margin of safety? Well, that is exactly where we're heading next in the course.